Right, so I don't want to say it's an early Christmas present, but I think we will take it at the moment, especially those who are struggling with debt. So the Reserve Bank governor making that announcement, interest rate cut down by 25 basis points. But should we have expected more? Should we be happy with this? I want to first of all say thank you very much to economist Maarten van Doesburgh, who's joining us this afternoon. You've had a long wait because we were, of course, busy with the final farewells for Praveen Gordhan-Martin. So thank you very, very much for staying with us. Also, I'm joined by Nikki Weimar, Chief Economist over at Nedbank. Nikki, I hope you can hear me if possible. Maybe unmute yourself, Nikki, while you do that. Maarten, let me ask you. So here's where I'm confused. So we're down 25 basis points. Big cut over in the US. Overnight, what, 50% or 50 basis points down as well. Why didn't we follow the trend if seemingly we follow the tail that is wagging the US dog?
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. I totally agree with you. I think, the question you're asking is the 25 basis points what we could have, and what does the economy need? I think that's what we've got to see. Well, that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
The economy absolutely needs more. The economy is sitting at practically zero GDP growth and struggling at the highest levels of unemployment, 33.5%, narrow definition, 42, 40, heading towards 45%. If you look at the expanded definition, and ultimately, economic growth is fundamentally the biggest problem within the South African economy, not inflation. This MPC decision, I believe, was an inflation-based decision. Inflation or controlling of inflation, protecting the currency is one of the Reserve Bank's functions. And if you look at the recent figures, inflation is down, core inflation is down. We've seen significant drops in fuel. Crude is at 71 today. It's way down from the $80. And even the international shocks, which have been pushing our food inflation, so the Ukraine-Russia war, etc., which has been limiting the pipeline of food. And fundamentally, those are our two main inflation drivers, fuel and food. And they're all down. So they're all significantly down. The rand has strengthened. The rand's at very strong levels. And my personal opinion, no, I think I think the governor was, or the MPC, let's say, was conservative. And I think admittedly, not everybody predicted the 50 basis points in the States.
There would have been quite a drop.
Yesterday, they were significantly expecting 25.
Yeah.
But they need to stimulate their economy too. And their inflation numbers are down. So the inflation numbers are down worldwide. So personal opinion, we need to focus on economic growth. We need to focus on unemployment. The economy we know we've got highest levels of debt, government debt.
Yeah.
There will be some relief with this interest in terms of debt, but ultimately people are without jobs, and the economy is struggling.
And we have another one coming up in November, which we can touch on in a moment. You and I were talking off air about that, Maarten. I want to just bring in very quickly, if I can, hopefully the unmuting has happened. Nikki Weimar, Chief Economist, Nedbank, joining us. Hello, Nikki. I hope you can hear me okay. You're joining Gareth and Maarten. So this was expected, but I suppose we could have hoped for a little bit more. Was this wishful thinking, or are you happy with 25 basis points? Nikki, hello. Nikki, you with us? If you can hear me, what do you think of the 25 basis points? Nikki, you can hear me okay? Yes or no? Oh, it doesn't look like Zoom's on our side, Maarten. That's okay. We've all had Zoom meetings. We'll figure out with the technical team behind the scenes. We'll leave Nikki Weimar from Nedbank for a moment. I want to talk November, if we can. So, yes, we've gone 25 in the good direction. We've gone green a little
absolutely.
bit. Could we have 25 basis down in November? Maybe that's what the MPC was hanging on for.
We certainly could, and I'd like to think that that's where their thinking is going.
Yeah.
We could go 50, another 50 in November. It depends what happens with the Fed, because the Fed is definitely moving in a downward trend, and they govern the world economy. So you'll see that the European, although the UK, they held steady, but they did have a reduction a month ago. So I think we're seeing the trend of reduction worldwide in terms of repo rates, and we are definitely a follower. Our economy is dependent, obviously, on our significant trading partners. So I think, to answer your question, yes, I believe that we could see at least another 25 to bring us to the 50 basis points in November, if not more.
Well, because what we always discuss is inflation being too high, Maarten.
Yes.
And this is from someone who I'm pretty sure failed Econ 101, so forgive me. So we can have inflation that's too high. That's damaging. It's not good for the economy. Could we end up in a situation where we're going the other way and inflation is too low? We want a bit of inflation, but it's not too much, not too little. It must be just right.
Well done. And let me summarize it very simply. The economy is driven by spending. Government spending, consumer spending, institutional spending. That's what GDP is. GDP is the gross domestic product, which is the total value of all final goods and services produced within the boundaries of a country during a year. And that is driven by spending. So a certain rise in prices, which is what inflation is not necessarily a bad thing, because increased spending increases the economy. The increased economy results in increased income in the hands of those people producing, which therefore will result in a slight increase in prices. So you're spot on, Gareth. A moderate rise in inflation is considered a good thing in the economy, as it's a result of the increased GDP. And that's coming back to our earlier discussion, is that we're not seeing GDP growth in this economy. And interest rates is not the only driver of economic growth. Of course, we need to see the structural reforms, structural changes, the Transnet changes that we're hopefully now going to see. This has all been limiting and stifling the economy.
And does the reduction in inflation help any of the? You mentioned SOEs, essentially. I want to wrap it up in a bracket, but